We're going to continue the conversation on how to win big in 2021. This is part number 4. If you haven't already joined the last 3 sessions, you definitely want to go back and join the last 3 sessions. We had a lot of great things to discuss and wrapping up 2020 and preparing for a powerful 2021. Hopefully you're taking action on some of the insights and strategies that I've shared with you. And we're going to continue the conversation. And in thinking about the topic of discussion today, I thought for a moment that maybe I should write down some notes so I don't miss anything. And in thinking about it, I immediately went like this. No, I don't need no notes. Okay? So that's the conversation that we are going to be having today. How prepared are you? How prepared are you to have a conversation with anyone, anywhere, anytime on a minute's notice? How prepared are you? How confident are you at having a conversation with any for sale by owner, any expired, any buyer, any seller in any situation at any time? How would you rate your confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 meaning you get a call, you get an email, you get a text message, you get a Facebook message, it doesn't matter. You are ready to go because you have that internal belief in yourself. You have that confidence in your ability to take a lead and turn it into a contract. 1 meaning like, oh no, they're going to give me an objection. How do I handle this objection? What if they say this? What if they say that? Etc., 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 etc. You catch my drift. And as we are talking about that, let me just check something right here. Make sure that this is legitimately broadcasting. And yes, it is. Okay. So guys, that's what we got to do to win big in 2021 is we got to focus a lot on mastering the art of communication, mastering the art of influence. And I'm going to give you the 5 things that you need to be focused on like right now in order for you to take more listings in 2021. So what I want you to consider is that everything that we do all day, every single day, whether it's paying money for online leads or whether it is prospecting or email marketing or direct marketing, the whole purpose is to get us onto a presentation, whether it's a buyer presentation or a seller presentation. And then once we get that appointment, that's where most people fail. So for my listings on demand members and a listings on demand method, we place a huge emphasis on mastering the listing presentation. Mastering the listing presentation. Where I find the biggest mistake that most people are making is they're placing the biggest emphasis on the one area in the sales strategy that is least needed, least effective, and that is objection handling. Now, I know some of you guys are probably thinking to yourself, what is this guy talking about? I need to know how to handle all buyer objections. I need to handle all seller objections, expired objections, physical objections, online lead objections, etc., etc., etc. So here's the thing. That's what most people do. And if you and I take a look at most people in the real estate industry, most people in the real estate industry ain't making the kind of money that you want to make. So let's stop doing what everybody is doing and let's place our focus on the things that only the top agents are doing. Now, a good salesperson, a master of influence, doesn't worry about objections. As a matter of fact, they barely ever get an objection. Why is that? It's because they know how to eliminate the objections before they come up. So rather than spend the time learning how to handle the objections, I want you to start asking yourself this question. What can I do? What can I begin to do? What can I begin to speak about in order for me to eliminate the most common objections? That's what a strategist does. That's what a man and or a woman of influence does. That's what I want you to do. Write down the question, how can I best eliminate objections inside of my presentation before they ever come up? So let's go through the sales process and I'll tell you exactly the way that we do it. So in the sales process, we have 5 steps. There's a 6th bonus step that I'll give you in a couple of seconds. My main man Sal is in the house. Welcome, my main man Sal. So here's the process, guys. Step number 1. Step number 1 is creating the connection. Creating the connection. Step number 1 should not be all about like, what do they want to hear? Step number 1 should not be all about what do we have in common. Step number 1 is all about creating a connection. Creating a connection. How do I get Jerry to like me? How do I get Sal to trust me? How do I get Mary to respect me? How do I get Jack to see me as the person of authority that they should listen to? So in other words, what I'm talking about is, it's not just about the lingo. It's about the emotion that the person in front of you is feeling. How do we interrupt their current state and put them in another state to where they feel like they are in a very safe place? Because if they feel safe, what happens to their guard? It goes down. What happens to their attention? It goes up. And if their attention goes up, they are now listening intently. They are paying attention to your presentation, which makes it a no-brainer for them to choose to work with you. So that's step number 1, is building rapport. Step number 2, it's pre-qualifying. But let me tell you something about the pre-qualifying that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like pre-qualifying for like how many bedrooms do they want, how many, bathrooms, what neighborhood, what is their motivation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? That's what average people do. We, above average people, we do it completely differently. And we do it very quickly, and it doesn't take a long time. It's not about asking 20 questions. It's about you're listening to the answer of 3 to 4 questions that help you determine the following. 1, how did they think? Jessica, good to see you. I'm going to call you in a little bit. So how did they think? I want to know, this person sitting in front of me, how did they think? Because if I know how they think, then guess what I can do? I can alter, shift, change my style, my presentation, my way of being to alter their thinking to what it is that I want them to think about. I want to know, how do they process information? Because now, again, I can alter, shift, change my presentation in a way that they can process. One size does not fit all. One size does not fit all. This whole entire thing about a canned presentation, it's 1970s. It's 2021 already, okay? People are more savvy. People are more clever. People can see right through your BS radar, etc. People are looking for authenticity. People are looking for the person that's likable. People are looking for the person that they can trust. They're looking for the person who's genuine in their approach. And that's how you express that that's who you are, by going through their filter and speaking to their process. And then we want to identify, how do these people make decisions? Because if you don't know how they make decisions, how are you going to impact that decision? You can't. It's like throwing darts in the dark. But if you know how they make decisions, then you can speak in a way to cause the decision that is obviously in the best interest of the client, and that is to choose to work with you. And then we make it to step number 3. What is step number 3? It's your presentation. But here's the best part. We said one size does not fit all. See, up to this point, if you've done everything up to this point, up to step number 3, it's like you met the person, they like you, they trust you, they respect you, they see you as the expert, they're listening to you, they're answering your questions. You know how they think, you know how they process information, you know how they make decisions. And you know what they want, why they want it, and what they're willing to do to get it. And that's exactly what your presentation is all about. That which they want. What do they want? What do they want it? This is where you show them how they can get it. And if you followed step 1, 2, and 3, comes step number 4. What is step number 4? To close. To ask for the signature. But I'm telling you, You don't need to ask for the signature all the time. It's like people always say to me, Chadi, how do I become a better closer? You become a better opener. That's how you become a better closer. You stop thinking about how do I need to close somebody? How many of you like people to close on your children when you're not around? How do you like people closing on your family members, your parents when you're not around? How's that make them feel? How's that make you feel? What we want to do is we want to educate. That's what we want to do. We want to make it a no-brainer for these people to say, I like this guy. I like this gal. I think they can get the job done. And I want to work with that person. And then closing, there's no need to close. You can just simply look them straight in the eyes and say the following. Mr. Seller, based on what I shared with you so far, what do you think would actually happen when you work with me? They're going to tell you all the beautiful things that are going to happen when they choose to work with you. And then you look them straight in the eye again, you say, I agree. I'm excited about getting you those results. Let's get started. Done. End of presentation. And then every once in a while, you may get an objection. But look, objections is the last step. If you follow step 1, 2, 3, and 4, it ended at number 4. There are no objections. Now, I know I make this sound very simple. And all I want to tell you is that it can be that simple for you too, okay? It just requires a little bit of study. It requires a little bit of a commitment. And, you know, I'm wearing the shirt right now. It says, do all the hard work once. Give yourself 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks working on this. Master this beginning now. And you won't have to worry about it for the rest of your life. You will become the man or woman who has a level 10 confidence, meaning you can go out and have a conversation with a buyer or seller anywhere, anytime, any situation without even having to think twice, without being worried about objections or anything. Now, I know some of you guys are getting excited by listening to this conversation and saying, hey, Chadi, I want to master these things because this year, I mean, think about it, this year, in the last 12 months of this year, how many leads did you lose because your presentation was not on par? Or maybe because you couldn't handle an objection or two? Or because you couldn't put that client in a space of feel good in your presence? How many times? How many commission checks did you lose this year because your sales strategies are not in order? I'm willing to bet the majority lost at least one transaction. Some probably lost a transaction every single month. And it's like, when does enough become enough? If you are someone that's watching this video right now, and you're at a place and you're thinking to yourself, enough is enough, you're the person I want to talk to. You're the person that I want to send me a private message and say, I want to master the art of influence. Because I got something coming up in February. And it's going to be very limited to very few people. And if you want to be one of those people, then you got to reach out quickly. And with that said, I will be coming on again next week, next Monday, to continue this conversation. So go back, even if you've been live with me for the last 4 weeks, watch part number 1, watch part number 2, watch part number 3, and watch today's video one more time. And I promise you, if you implement that which I shared with you over the course of the next 4 weeks, that alone can help you close an extra 1 to 2 deals every single month here on forward. I'm doing this as a way of saying thank you very much for being a part of this group. Thank you very much for supporting the Top Listing Agent Show podcast. Thank you very much for supporting me and my family for all these years. And I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I'll see you guys next Monday. Take care.